Alright y'all, welcome back to the top 10 missing villains from Battlefront 2 Part 2. Quick disclaimer, if you have not seen Part 1 already, I highly recommend you pause this video right now, check the description or click on the card that's about to pop up for you and go watch that before you finish this video. Also, if you're brand new, I want to let you guys know that we are 5 videos deep into this brand new series, which is the missing content from Battlefront 2, and we started off with the top 15 missing skins from Battlefront. A card will also pop up for the playlist if you want to start from the very beginning and work your way back to this video. And as always, before we jump right into it, I want to let you guys know to follow your boy on Instagram so you don't miss any updates on anything YouTube or TikTok related. And before, I was telling you guys to follow me on Twitter so you can DM me back and forth and talk all things Star Wars, but now I'm just going to be posting all my Star Wars thoughts on Twitter. I'm going to be tweeting all day long about things that just pop up in my head about the Bad Batch, Star Wars Legends, all types of stuff. So make sure you follow me on there, man. We're going to be lit. And of course, Twitter's still a place to head if you want to have a one-on-one conversation with me. And with all that out of the way, let's get into it.
Who's the man?
Time to find out.
And I want to do a quick little twist to save myself some time. So instead of me going over the abilities and the costumes, I'm going to just go over the abilities, and each character that pops up on the screen, I want you guys to comment down below which skins, which costumes, outfits that they should have. Now, we should all remember from last video, coming in at number 10 is going to be the Grand Inquisitor. Now, the 3 abilities I'd hand to the Grand Inquisitor are Double Blade, Lightsaber Throw, and Duelist. Now, yes, if you actually think about it, all of his abilities are pretty much self-explanatory, but I'm still going to go through each one for y'all. Now, the first one, Double Blade, he switches to a double-bladed lightsaber like he did in the show. He has half damage, but he also has double speed with his attacks. So this ability is pretty much like a preference thing as to how you want to fight with him. His second ability is going to be his Lightsaber Throw, which isn't like any normal lightsaber throw. You're actually going to see the animation between him and Darth Maul differ a lot. It does 110 damage to enemies and has a 25-second cooldown. Now, his final ability, Duelist, is going to give him a 10% damage reduction and a 10% damage increase output. It also makes all his lightsaber attacks 25% faster, but that does not stack with the double-bladed speed in the first ability. Now, moving on to number 9 is obviously a returning character from Battlefront 2015. It's going to be Greedo. He's definitely another one of those characters that was super fun to make this list for. Now, his first ability is going to be Sharp Shot, his second ability is going to be Hunter's Vision, and his third ability is going to be Improviser. Now, don't expect my Greedo to be any similar to the 2015 Greedo. I did watch a little bit of gameplay just to make sure I wasn't too far off, but as far as abilities, I kind of wanted to switch it up, but I kept a couple things the same. Now, his first ability, Sharp Shot, kills up to 5 enemies at once and also does 90 damage to other heroes. Now, his second ability is going to be Hunter's Vision. It reveals all nearby enemies, and the enemies revealed are going to be 20% easier for Greedo to kill. And last but most certainly not least, Greedo's Improviser ability is going to regenerate his health, and the lower his health is, the faster and the more health he'll regain. And the reason making Greedo so interesting is because if you haven't read any Legends or you haven't read up on Greedo at all, there's not really much he gave us in the movies aside from the fact that he's not as fast as shooting as Han Solo. But nevertheless, I promise you with these abilities right here, Greedo would be more than a formidable opponent for any hero on the other side of the rosters. Now, moving in at number 8, another character that I want to make a quick disclaimer for, it's going to be Dengar. Now, like I said, I did not play the Battlefront 1 DLC back in 2015, but I did watch some gameplay, and although I did see the abilities he had, I want to make him different in Battlefront 2 just so he's more refreshed and more enjoyable character. Now, just like everybody else, Dengar is going to have 3 abilities, the first being Overcharge, the second one being Smoke Grenade, and the third one being Survivor. Now, doubling back, let's talk about that Overcharge ability. His weapon is going to deal 20% more damage for 15 seconds, and it's going to have a 35-second cooldown. His second ability is going to be a Smoke Grenade, which does 10 damage per second, temporarily blinding all the enemies within a certain vicinity, and it has a 20-second cooldown. If you really know Dengar, then you know he came in clutch with those smoke grenades more than a few times. Now, his third and final ability is going to be called Survivor, where basically he has slow health regeneration all the way back to full health, 15% damage reduction, and increased melee damage. Another thing you might not know about Dengar if you haven't actually read up on him or read any of the books that he was in, Dengar actually really had solid hands. Like, he could get with almost any other bounty hunter if he really had to. But enough talking about the big brute bounty hunter, let's move into number 7. It's going to be the one and only, my boy, Admiral Thrawn. Now, the 3 abilities I handpicked out for Admiral Thrawn are going to be an Arc Pulse Grenade, Strategist, and Martial Arts. Now, his Arc Pulse Grenade is not only going to shock the enemies that are nearby, but it's also going to do 80 damage. He has 2 grenades, and it has a 35-second cooldown. For his second ability, Strategist, he'll instantly regain 100 health and grants 35 plus health to other troopers around him and grants 90 plus health to villains around him. And finally, for his third ability, Martial Arts, he has ISB agent animations. He has increased melee damage, but he does take damage if trying to attack a blocking lightsaber hero. Unfortunately, Thrawn is one of those characters you just have to be super character what type of abilities you give him, because I really just wanted to give him abilities based off his actual character and identity within the books, but he just had so many overpowered abilities that there's just no way you can consolidate them down into the game That's why his abilities are kind of thrown left and right a little bit, but I feel like they still kind of fit his character. Now moving in at number 6 is going to be a growing fan favorite, the second sister herself, aka Trilla. She's going to have 3 abilities, the first being Spinning Frenzy, the second being Deadly Strike, and the third being a Force Pulse. Now before we even get into Trilla, it just hurts to even think about the fact that we could not get a single Inquisitor into Battlefront 2. I know they weren't in the movies and they were only in the shows, that's why I gave EA and DICE some slack when it comes to Clone Wars characters and characters from Rebels. But let's double back to Trilla's first ability, which is going to be her Spinning Frenzy. It's similar to Kylo Ren's Frenzy, however all 3 strikes are blockable, but they deal 90 damage per hit, which basically means if all 3 of those hit you, you're going to be down some serious health, especially if you're a shooter. And her second ability is going to be Deadly Strike. Now, it's coming straight from Jedi Fallen Order, obviously. I don't know if you guys remember while playing the game, if you fought her or the Ninth Sister, they'd have these moments where they glow red, and basically if you didn't dodge, the hit would go right through you even if you were blocking. And those people that played Jedi Fallen Order and understood the mechanics of the game, it'll click in their head instantly where that ability comes from. Now her third and final ability is going to be her Force Pulse, much similar to Anakin when he just stands there, takes all the damage in, and pretty much just pulses all the enemies around him, knocking them down, except hers is going to be a lot faster, and she's actually not going to have damage reduction while she does it. She's basically just going to do a little move where she gets out of the way and does a little animation, and boom, you're instantly flying backwards. And I know we're pretty deep into this video to be going back to number 10, but I also want to talk about an ability that I left out for the Grand Inquisitor and Trilla, which basically means if you hold the jump button, they definitely will have that helicopter kind of flight mode that they did with their lightsabers in Star Wars Rebels. That's 100% my bad and just something I forgot to mention when I was talking about the Grand Inquisitor. But moving on to number 5, we got the one and only Director Krennic. Now for Krennic, his 3 abilities are going to be Imperial Stand, Trigger Finger, and EMP. For Imperial Stand, he'll instantly receive 100 plus health, and his nearby troopers will receive plus 40, and nearby heroes will receive plus 90. For Trigger Finger, he'll have a user input trigger speed, which basically means his gun will pretty much turn into the gun that Lando has. He'll have 30% less damage per shot, but it'll be a 10-second duration, which is more than enough time to go crazy with his gun. And you know what, that might not sound like a lot of time, but if you combine that ability with Trigger Finger, you're going to be going freaking crazy with Director Krennic. Alright y'all, moving on to number 4, y'all already know who it is. It's going to be the one and only Cad Bane. Now for me, his 3 abilities are going to be Stunners, Hunter, and Flamethrower. Now for his Stunner ability, it basically stuns any enemy directly in front of him for a duration of 5 seconds and has a 25-second cooldown. Now for his Hunter ability, his pistols will do 15% more damage, and 1 of every 3 bullets will actually ignore an enemy lightsaber hero block. And for his third and final ability, he'll have a Flamethrower that does 50 damage per second with 5-second duration and a 35-second cooldown. Alright y'all, we finally made it into the top 3, and at number 3 we're going to have Savage Oppress. His first ability is going to be his Horn Rush, his second ability is going to be Overpowering Rage, and finally his third ability is going to be Force Crush. Now his Horn Rush is going to be a one-shot kill to all infantry, and it's going to do 110 damage to other heroes. And Savage's Overpowering Rage, which is his second ability, is probably one of the most unique abilities throughout this entire list. So basically every kill he gets on the battlefield is going to build a rage meter, and when the rage meter is full, he'll have 25% damage increase with a 15% damage reduction, but at the cost of each one of his swings draining a crazy amount of stamina. And finally, with his third ability, Force Crush, he basically kills enemies instantly and does 90 damage to heroes with a Force Crush. Alright y'all, you already know number 2 is going to be the one and only Moff Gideon. His 3 abilities are going to be the Dark Saber, Dark Troopers, and the Thermal Imploder. Now his first ability is going to be the Dark Saber, which does 60 damage to heroes and is a one-shot to all infantry and has a 15-second duration before the cooldown period starts. His second ability is going to be able to spawn in 2 Dark Troopers that will fly in from the sky. They have 500 health, they're deadly accurate, do 20 damage per second, and they one-shot melee any infantry, so do not get close to these guys. But their one main weakness is they move super slow. And Moff Gideon's final ability is going to be a Thermal Imploder that does 110 damage, which has a 25-second cooldown. Now number 1 is obviously Asajj Ventress. I had so much fun making the abilities for her. I had about 6 or 7, but I had to boil it down to the best 3, and here they are. First ability is going to be Spinning Leap, her second ability is going to be Force Choke, and her third ability is going to be Dark Rage. For her first ability, Spinning Leap, she leaps forward, twirling towards her enemies, doing 70 damage to regular infantry and 90 damage to enemy heroes, and there's 3 uses before the cooldown period starts. Now for her choke ability, there's no limit to the amount of people that can get caught in this ability. It does 55% damage to regular infantry and 70% damage to enemy heroes, and has a 35-second cooldown. And finally, if you activate her last ability, Dark Rage, she'll do an additional 20% damage, she'll have quicker attacks, it has a 15-second duration with a 1-minute cooldown duration. You see, one of the reasons I say that Ventress is one of the hardest characters to do and probably the most fun is because if you think about it, aside from Ahsoka and Anakin, throughout the entire Clone Wars show, and I'm not going to leave any spoilers in case there's the off chance you haven't seen it, but aside from Anakin and Ahsoka, she had some of the most crazy character development throughout that entire show. I mean, if you look where she started and where she ended up, it's just insane to think about. She picked up so many new abilities, traits, characteristics that throwing it into Battlefront 2 was actually kind of hard. Alright y'all, that's pretty much all I got for you. If you're not yet subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're doing something brand new that we've never done before. We're going to go over the top 10 missing maps from Battlefront 2, and honestly it might be a lot more than 10 considering how I get the list consolidated down, but it's definitely a video you're not going to want to miss. And with all that said, I love y'all, and I'll see you in the next one.
City nights and satellites. When I'm old and losing sight.